I think the most moving memory is the first time my wife met Martin and Coretta King. He invited us to hear him at a talk in Baltimore and drive him back with Coretta from Baltimore to Washington, and then to have some talking together. And on the way back, he and I were strategizing about what would Martin Luther King do if he's going to be a leader that's bringing Gandhi and his ideas into America. And we heard in the back seat Coretta saying, you know, I have a nightmare that at the end of the road that Martin has chosen, he's going to be killed. And that nightmare keeps coming back. And he turned around and said, Corey, I've told you to stop dreaming that nightmare. That's not the point. I didn't choose this. They asked me to chair the Montgomery bus boycott. They came and asked me, and I said yes. And then he hummed a spiritual. It was something like, and the Lord came by and asked, and my soul said yes. And of course, we all know that most people serve and take action because somebody asked. And this is a day when we're asking people to do what Martin Luther King would do, to make this holiday the pursuit of the public happiness of governing ourselves. For a long time, people fought to get the King holiday, and I was one of those calling for that. And it finally got achieved nearly 25 years ago. And years had passed, and over the years it had grown, but it was sermons, talks, meetings, lunches. And one day I said to myself, this is wrong. If Martin Luther King were here, he'd say, that's not what I want on my day. It should be a day on, not a day off. It should be a day when we try to fulfill the goals that Martin Luther King gave his life for. I teamed up with John Lewis in the House and many Republican and Democratic colleagues of mine in the Senate and he in the House. And it got enacted as a statement by Congress that this should be a day of service, a day on, not a day off. I was on Martin Luther King Day in snow at a Habitat for Humanity or a house build in Philadelphia. And the young African American who was a volunteer that day in a service corps was painting or scraping the walls that we were working on. And I said, how did you turn to join this service corps? He had been a gang leader, I was told. He dropped out of school. He was on the way to disaster, and now he was one of their stars. And he said, well, I thought it'd be a different gang. I might not die at the end. Sort of joshed. Then he turned around a few minutes later, and he said, the real reason I am in this corps and doing this is all my life people had come to do good, had come into the project where I lived and to help me. And I got tired of people doing good against me. This is the first time in my life anyone ever asked me to do something good for my community. And the light bulb went on. I said, that's close to everything that Martin Luther King stood for.